Izumi was a sad, quiet emo boy with no friends and no real life. In class, the girl started talking about going out after school. The blonde Yuki told her popular friend Kyuko that another boy had asked for her number, and she rejected him because the boy could not even ask her himself. When Kyoko got up to leave, her phone slipped and fell right in front of the strange emo boy Izumi, and Izumi picked up the phone and gave it to her. Maybe even a crazy otaku, but no one knew what was behind his long hair. Then Kyoko went home. But unlike the other popular girls, she did not have time to hang out with friends or talk about boys. She took care of her little brother at home and lived a simple family life. Later that day, when her little brother Suta came home, blood was coming from his nose. Kyuko ran to him quickly, and she saw that someone else had brought Suta home. There was a good-looking boy standing there who looked emo and had piercings on his ears and face. Suta was safe, so the boys started to leave, but Suta clung to him, and Kyoko told him to wait a moment so she could thank him. They sat down, and the boy said he was surprised that Kyuko could manage the house alone. Suddenly, Kyuko realized the boy was calling her by name and knew her school and class. Kyoko asked if he was in the same school, and he said yes in a normal way. Kyoko could not believe that the quiet and strange boy from class was not some scary shut-in, but was actually a good-looking and cool emo. The next day, she was still surprised. Yuki noticed her strange mood, but Kyoko suddenly stood up and did something no one expected. She went straight to Izumi and started talking to him. Kyoko said that Suta wanted him to come home again. Izumi was surprised that she was talking to him again after yesterday. Kyoko admitted that it felt a bit strange, but she had no reason to avoid him. She had seen him looking different outside school yesterday, and she knew she was not so different herself. Izumi smiled. Izumi got nervous because no one treated him in such a normal way, so Kayako said it was not a big deal and told him to style his hair like he did yesterday. But Izumi refused because if he tied his hair, his piercings would show. After that, it became a routine for Izumi to come to Kayuko's house after school, and in the first few visits, Kayuko learned a lot about Izumi. Like he liked manga, but was not an obsessed otaku. His family had a cake shop, he got his first piercing in middle school, and even though he wore glasses, he was not that smart. One day, when Izumi was at the house, Kyoko saw in a supermarket ad that eggs were on sale. Izumi told her that the deal would end exactly at 4 o'clock. Kyoko thought she could make it in time, but she got a meeting with the student council. Not wanting to miss the deal, Kyoko messaged Izumi to buy the eggs because she thought he would come to see Suta anyway. Izumi agreed, and with 20 minutes left, he ran out, changed his look while running, and jumped over the back gate, landing right in front of Yuki, who he ended up impressing by accident. He brought the eggs, but he had to fight with people to get them, and after that, he did not want to do this job again. Still, Kyoko really appreciated it. Izumi just mentioned that he had run into Yuki and wanted her not to recognize him, but Kyoko felt strange inside after hearing this. Kyoko could not answer and started thinking that this guy was either brave or just stupid. Then in class, Yuki and Toru started to notice that Kyoko and Izumi had become close. Toru took Izumi aside and asked if he was dating Kyoko, and Izumi quickly said no. Toru said that they were so different, and Izumi hesitantly agreed. Then Izumi realized that Toru liked Kyoko, and Toru admitted it, which put both of them in a strange conversation until their friend Shu came and told them to get ready for PE class. While changing clothes, Toru asked why Izumi always wore a jacket, so to avoid more questions, Izumi showed him what he was hiding. Toru was shocked to see that Izumi had a full tattoo. Toru started looking at Izumi closely, from his face to his piercings, and wondered if this was the kind of boy Kyoko could like. Their talk went on longer than expected. Toru promised he would not tell Izumi's secret about the tattoo, but he kept thinking about how these two had become so close. Izumi only said that it had been like this for a while, and he thought Kyoko was just kind. After hearing this, Toru asked for permission to tell Kyoko his feelings, and Izumi said the decision was for Kyoko to make. In the end, both boys skipped PE class. Yuki got stuck with cleaning duty, and she got very angry. For the rest of the day, Izumi kept his distance from Kyoko because he knew Toru wanted to meet her after school and tell her his feelings. Izumi said he would bring Suta and left Kyoko for Toru, then Toru confessed his feelings to Kyoko. At home, Izumi was getting ready to leave when Kyoko came back, and she was angry that Izumi had told Toru she was only being kind to him. Izumi stuck to what he said because he thought he was too different from Kyuko and that being around her was hurting her reputation. Then Kyuko slapped him again and told him he was not as small as he thought because he often helped her wake up early, did not waste food, and she liked being with him. About Toru, Kyuko told Izumi that she had rejected him. A few days later, Kyuko took Izumi with her to buy groceries, and the two started to get even closer. On the way back, Kyuko saw an anime poster and started humming the theme song softly. Izumi noticed and said she was good at it. Kyuko felt strange and slapped him on the face, and Izumi did not react much because he was used to it. Kyuko explained that Suda played that song again and again, so she remembered it. But when Izumi asked what song she liked herself, she went quiet because she did not know many songs except the ones Suda played. Then when Kyuko got home, she was surprised that her mom was there, because this time she had found time to come home. Suda told their mom everything, that the boy who saved him was Kyoko's school friend, and now he often came to their house. Mom asked Kyuko about the boy, so Kyuko described Izumi as a strange and suspicious boy, and Mom laughed and wanted to know more. Mom asked for his name, and Kyuko found it strange that she did not know Izumi's full name. She only called him by his last name. This kept bothering her, and she kept thinking about asking Izumi. The next day when Izumi came, he was a bit surprised that Kyoko's mom was so excited to meet him. Mom sent Kyuko to buy groceries on purpose so she could talk to Izumi alone and thank him for helping Kyuko and Suda. When Kyuko returned, Mom had already left for work again, and Suda was happily eating the cake Izumi brought from his family shop. Izumi casually said that Mom had called him by his first name, so Kyuko got curious and asked which name Mom used, but she did not get an answer. Instead, Izumi teased her and said she was acting strange, like when she was peeking into the boys' locker room. Then he asked if there was someone she liked in the locker room, but Kyuko did not admit anything and just told the real reason. Izumi laughed because he understood she did all this just to know his name. Izumi asked for a pen, wrote his full name on a tissue, and gave it to her because he knew it would feel strange to call him by his first name. Kyuko still called him by his last name. Then she threw the tissue back and asked if he knew Kyoko's first name, and surprisingly, he did know it. Kyuko thought her reaction was childish, and both of them laughed it off. A few days later, Kyuko got a job from the student council, given by Kakeru and Sakura. They said the new members could not do the job well, so they trusted Kyuko because she was always reliable. Kyuko could not refuse and agreed. Then she kept doing the same job for many days, until even Yuki started to worry. Toro and Izumi felt bad for her from a distance, but they could not help because they could not do anything themselves. Izumi said maybe Kyuko was doing all this to get praise from Kakeru because he was the smartest and most liked boy. At that moment, another council member, Remi, came and asked where the papers were that Kyuko was handling. Kyuko gave her the documents. Yuki explained that Remi was just a show member of the council and was Kakeru's girlfriend, and her jobs always ended up with Kyuko. Kyuko accepted this, but did not complain because she thought Remi could not do the job anyway. Seeing Kyuko so tired, Izumi thought he would bring her cake after school, but suddenly, Remi ran past him and dropped a lot of papers by mistake. Izumi helped her pick them up, but she was in such a hurry that she told him to leave the last paper, thinking it was not important, and then she left. Right away, Yuki pulled Izumi away and Toro insisted that Kyuko was being blamed for nothing. Kakeru said Remi never got the budget report and blamed Careless for being careless. At first Kyuko answered, but in the end she admitted she was so tired she could not remember how many reports she had finished. Then the whispers started and everyone began blaming her, and everyone agreed with popular Kakeru. Toru got angry and Yuki defended Kyuko, saying she had been working for days, but no one listened, and still everyone told her to apologize for something she did not do. Then Izumi stepped forward, gave his bag and glasses to Toru, and walked straight to Kakeru. Without saying anything, he grabbed Kakeru's tie and knocked their foreheads together. Everyone went silent and Kakeru could not say a word. Then Izumi took out the paper that Remi had dropped yesterday and explained that Remi had told him to throw it away. Remi denied it at first, then remembered, and realized the mistake was really hers. She lost her confidence and apologized. Kakeru and Sakura started scolding her, and in the end, everyone apologized to Kyuko for the trouble in the morning. Kyuko thanked Izumi, and Toru still asked why he needed to headbutt Kakeru. Izumi just said he got angry for a moment. Then he asked Kyuko why Kakeru impressed her so much. Kyuko looked away and in a strange way explained that she respected the student council president and was also his childhood friend. She said she used to tease Kakeru since they were kids, but before graduating from middle school, Kakeru told her if she did not start treating him with respect, he would tell everyone how bossy she really was. So Kyuko had no choice but to support him. Then Kyuko's birthday came, and Izumi came to meet her and gave her a CD with songs he liked, and it was the same gift she secretly wanted. With that, her birthday and spring break ended, and their last year started. For a long time, Izumi did not like the idea of school. Kyuko was the first person who tried to talk to him and treated him in a normal way, Now in third year, Izumi, Kyoko, Yuki, and Toru were in the same class. The others happily talked about being in the same class, but Izumi still wondered if he really fit in this group or not. When the teacher announced a group project, Izumi prepared himself for the worst, because he remembered that before, he was always left out. But then Kyoko, Toru, and Yuki came to him without hesitation and made a group of 4, which he had never done before. At lunch, Izumi quietly went to the roof to think, and Toru found him easily. Lost in his thoughts, Izumi asked what Toru thought about him. Toru got annoyed with his shy face and said clearly that he did not like how close Izumi was to Kyoko. He did not like Izumi's mumbling. Sometimes he found him strange, and he also hated that Izumi was so nice that Toru could never leave him alone. Toru said that with long hair and a pretty face, Izumi looked better than most girls, and Izumi's reactions also annoyed him. Then Toru asked why Izumi still called him by his last name even though they were close now. Izumi tried to use Toru's first name but got embarrassed, and the moment became awkward for both of them. Izumi admitted he had never called anyone by their first name before. Toru called him weird, and Izumi remembered his old days, but Toru also said he did not hate Izumi. At that moment, Izumi wished he could tell his younger self that in the end, everything would be okay. The next day, because Suda's school started, Kyoko had to wake up early and reach school early. Kyoko was lost in thought when Remi suddenly came and sat in front of her and in a very friendly way asked about her relationship with Izumi. Kyoko got nervous and said there was nothing between them. Remi, with a strange smile, said that then she would take Izumi for herself because there was nothing between Kyoko and Izumi. Kyoko got confused, so Remi made it clear that since Kyoko was not dating Izumi, she wanted to date him. Then Kyoko imagined Remi and Izumi together and could not accept it. She immediately told Remi that Izumi was hers. Remi said she would still try because Izumi was not Kyoko's boyfriend, so Kyoko could not claim him. Then Kyoko stood up and said she would not let anyone take Izumi. For the rest of the day, Kyoko kept thinking about her own words and about Izumi. Kyoko and Izumi were now spending more time together, and that day, they watched horror movies. Kyoko found out that Izumi got scared very easily, even jumping at a ringtone. Then the power went out, so Kyoko calmly said it would come back soon, and the power did come back. Izumi felt embarrassed, but Kyoko kept teasing him and to change the subject, talked about playing 5 horror movies. Izumi mentioned Kyoko's hands, which Yuki had talked about in class. Yuki had put her hand next to Kyoko's and saw that her hands were small. Toru had joked that even compared to a boy's hand, Kyoko's hands were very small. Kyoko had put her hand on his and warned him not to try to hold her hand or he would lose his fingers. Then Izumi and Kyoko also compared hands, and this time Kyoko herself took the first step and held Izumi's hand. Izumi held her hand too, so Kyoko said she liked him, but quickly corrected herself and said she liked his hand. Izumi understood what she really wanted to say, but he did not push her. He answered that he liked her too, and also said he liked her hand. Both of them knew the talk was not just about holding hands. At school, Remi talked to Sakura about how Kyoko had spoken clearly about Izumi. Remi said she was just joking, but it brought out Kyoko's real feelings. Toru also heard all this and got confused. The next day when Izumi came to school, there was a bruise on his cheek, and Kyoko asked what happened. Izumi said he had a fight with Toru. Kyoko got ready to scold Toru, but when Toru came, he looked even worse than Izumi. Yuki took Izumi aside, and Kyoko went to talk to Toru. Izumi explained that he took the first punch himself, the rest was in self-defense, and by bad luck, Toru got hurt a lot. At the same time, Toru told Kaluko that the fight was not about who started it or who won. Last night, they were sitting in Izumi's room, and Toru brought up what Remi had said, that Kyoko liked Izumi. Izumi denied it and said they were just friends, and he thought Toru was overthinking it, because the real answer would only be clear when Kyoko said something herself. In the end, both of them forgave each other. Then the girls also talked about it. Kyoko did not know why the fight happened, but Yuki knew because Izumi had already told her that they fought because of Kyoko. A few days later, when Toru was about to go home, suddenly a pile of papers fell from the student council room and Sakura was there. Toru picked up the papers and gave them back to her and asked if it was hard to do everything alone. Sakura smiled and said everyone had their own job, whether it was Kakeru or Remi. Toru casually praised her for handling everything alone, even if no one noticed. Sakura felt strange after this sudden praise and looked away. Later, outside school, Toru met Izumi, and Kyoko had given Izumi an ice cream for them to share, but Kyoko went home before them. Toru was happy to hear it was from Kyoko, then found out the flavor was melon, which he did not like. At that moment, Kakeru passed by, so they called him and offered him the ice cream. Kakeru had no reason to refuse, so he sat with them, and they talked about random things. When Kakeru mentioned Remi and Sakura, Toru wondered why there were so many girls in the student council, and then he thought that Kakeru had made a harem for himself. Kakeru quickly denied this, but Toru teased him and said even the council room AC worked on his order. Kakeru took a breath and said if they wanted, they could come and cool off in the council room, but he immediately regretted it because the next day, Toru and Izumi brought everyone there to hang out. Izumi and Kyoko lost at rock, paper, scissors, so both had to go get drinks while the others waited inside. As soon as they left, Remi started talking about Izumi and Kyoko's relationship. Neither Toru nor Yuki had a clear answer. Remi kept asking and even said maybe Kyoko was better for Toru. Toru got happy at this, but Yuki quickly reminded him that Kyoko had already rejected him. Then for the first time, Sakura understood that Toru liked Kyoko. When Yuki asked why it was taking so long to get drinks, the group started making strange guesses about what could be happening there. Their weird guesses made Toru even more restless, but Yuki comforted him, saying maybe they just dropped some coins or something like that. Toru, thankful, messed up her hair, and Sakura looked away when she saw this. When Izumi and Kyoko came back with the drinks, Izumi immediately apologized to Toru and said he did not mean it that way. Already suspicious, Toru thought something had happened with Kyoko, so he ran away before Izumi could explain. He misunderstood Izumi's words and thought he had done something with Kyoko, but at that moment, his cola exploded in his face. Then everyone told him that Izumi had just dropped the drink by mistake, which was why he was apologizing. Everyone laughed, and Sakura gave him a wet tissue with a small smile. That evening, Izumi was studying at Koko's house. Unfortunately, their AC was broken, and Izumi said he was used to it because he usually slept without a shirt. Hearing this, Kyoko was surprised and remembered how Izumi had shown his tattoo in a normal way before. Then she wondered if she should really be nervous just because a boy was showing his body. So she told Izumi to show her his tattoo again. Izumi started taking off his clothes in a straightforward way, but Kyoko stopped him and told him not to take off his clothes just because someone asked, especially without asking why. Then she asked if he was this open in front of others too, and Izumi hesitantly said yes. Kyoko started to ask something else, but Izumi stopped her and directly asked what she really wanted to say. Kyoko admitted that she had never seen Izumi get nervous, and most of the time, she was the one who got embarrassed. Izumi said he got nervous too, like when he met his old friend Koichi. Koichi said he was proud of Izumi, but Izumi did not understand why, so Koichi teased him that he was going on dates with his girlfriend. Izumi nervously said he was not dating Kyoko, but Koichi refused to believe it, and in the end, he was sure that Izumi was dating Kyoko. Izumi said he would explain to Koichi that it was not true, but Kyoko was not really bothered by this inside. At that moment, Koichi sent a photo message with his girlfriend and invited Izumi for a double date. Izumi could not hide his reaction. Kyoko noticed and tried to peek at the message, so Izumi got nervous, hid his phone, and for a moment even spoke harshly to her. Then he called Koichi and just told him to shut up and ended the call. It was the first time Kyoko had heard Izumi raise his voice at her, and she was surprised. Now she started thinking about what Izumi used to be like before. A few days later, Kyoko was going home with groceries when she met Koichi. Kyoko did not know him, but Koichi knew her. At the same time, Izumi was out with Toru, and Toru saw Kyoko talking to a stranger. Seeing Koichi, Izumi quickly went to him and slapped him. Koichi did not mind, rubbed his cheek, and said he wanted to be introduced to Kyoko. Izumi, hesitating, introduced him to Kyoko as his old friend and said he was still in second year. Toru asked who he was, but Izumi avoided the question. Kyoko found out Koichi's class, so Koichi casually admitted he had failed the exam, and that was why he was behind. He also said his school was strict and one of the good schools in the city. Still, he said he was jealous that Izumi was enjoying his school life. Kyoko said she was going home, so Koichi suggested they go to a restaurant so they could sit under the air conditioner. On the way, Izumi remembered the first time Koichi talked to him. After the class changed, someone bumped into Izumi and his books fell. Koichi helped him pick up the books and read Izumi's name wrong, which annoyed Izumi. But from there, Koichi started hanging around him and they became familiar. Izumi heard some of Koichi's friends asking why he was hanging out with Izumi, so Koichi just brushed it off and said he would come back to them if he wanted. At that time, Koichi's presence changed Izumi's life, just like Kyoko was changing his life now. The next day, Kyoko got a fever and Suda got worried. Kyoko still tried to go to school, but Suda took her bag and told her to lie down again. He said he would go to school carefully and bring her medicine. Kyoko took the medicine and fell asleep after some time. Half asleep, she remembered that once when she was sick, her mom left her alone. She woke up suddenly. Her nose was blocked from the flu, and Izumi was there by her bed. Izumi gave her a warm towel, and at first Kyoko thought she was imagining it, but Izumi explained that Suda had called him. He asked her about the fever and medicine. Kyoko said yes, so Izumi went to get water, but Kyoko slipped out of bed and nervously asked where he was going. She remembered the time her mom left her and said she was strong, but Kyoko wanted someone to stay with her. She grabbed Izumi's hand and did not let go. Izumi assured her he was not going anywhere. He stayed with her, explained the situation to the school and Kyoko's mom, and before going to school, told Kyoko that he liked her and he did not care if she was asleep or awake. After Izumi left, Kyoko was shocked to hear this. Kyoko did not go to school for 2 days because of the fever. She was feeling better now, but she was hesitant to go back because of Izumi's confession. She clearly remembered Izumi said he liked her, and now even a simple message from him felt strange. Later that day, Sada saw Izumi with a strange girl. At home, he casually told Kyoko that Izumi was with a girl and they were very close. Kyoko did not react much, and Suda immediately started talking about yogurt. Kyoko asked what the girl was like. Suda said she was not wearing Koko's school uniform, but a uniform from another school. Koko immediately jumped to the wrong conclusion that she was one of Izumi's many girlfriends. She controlled herself and asked how close they were. Suda just said Izumi was holding her very close, so Kyoko was so shocked she dropped her yogurt. Even by midnight, Kyoko could not message Izumi because she had so many thoughts that even sending a simple question felt hard. When she finally came back to school, Toru happily greeted her, but Kyoko quickly told him to be quiet because she did not want to face Izumi yet. Izumi also did not know she was in class until break time when Toru pointed her out. After school, Izumi decided to talk to her. He caught Kyoko while she was trying to hide and called out to her, which startled her. Izumi spoke directly and asked if she was avoiding him because of his confession that day. But Kyoko was thinking about something else and asked who that girl was. Izumi thought for a moment and then remembered it was Chika. Kyoko was shocked to hear her first name and said Suda saw them holding hands. Izumi immediately explained that Chika was Koichi's girlfriend, and Suda probably saw the moment when Chika slipped and Izumi caught her. Hearing this, Kyoko got angry and threw books at Izumi because he kept calling Chika by her first name, but still called Kyoko only by her family name. She stormed off in anger, not knowing that Izumi did not even know Chika's family name. Then Kyoko felt bad and realized she had overreacted, and now maybe Izumi would not like her anymore. That evening, Suda came home with Izumi. Izumi came to return the book Kyoko threw at him and to clear things up, but Kyoko spoke first. She apologized for throwing the book and in a strange way asked what Chika's full name was. Then Izumi said he did not know Chika's full name. Both of them laughed because it was just a stupid misunderstanding. Then Kyoko brought up the real problem, the confession. She admitted she was awake and heard everything. Izumi said he knew that was why he confessed, and he just was not brave enough to wait for her answer. In the middle of their important talk, Kyoko's dad, Kyusuke, arrived. When he saw Izumi, Kyoko quickly pointed at the cigarette in his hand to try to make him quiet. But Kyusuke did not care and even asked Izumi if he smoked too, and said he looked like a delinquent because of his piercings. Then Kyuko hit him on the head and Kyusuke acted dramatic and complained if this was what happened to fathers. He complained that after coming home after so long, he got hit on the head, there was a stranger in the house, his wife was not home, and there was nothing to eat. Kyoko sighed at this, but still made something for him to eat. Kyusuke apologized for Kyuko's anger and loudly wondered where she got this habit from. Still, he did not stop and finally asked Izumi if he was Kyuko's boyfriend. The room went quiet. Then Kyuko nodded yes, which made Izumi blush right away. At that moment, Kyoko's mom Yuriko came in. She was so surprised to see her husband that she dropped her things, and for a moment, no one said anything. Then she did not get angry, she just said she did not count him for dinner, only Izumi, and that Izumi had his own plate, but Kyusuke did not. When it was time to go home, Kyoko went with Izumi to the main road. In silence, she reached out and held Izumi's hand. Izumi said he still did not know much about Kyoko, but he promised he would slowly learn everything, and Kyoko made the same promise. This is how their relationship turned into a lover's relationship. That same night, Izumi called Toru and told him everything, and Toru said he had no problem. But as soon as the call ended, Toru's eyes filled with tears because he felt he had really lost Kyuko. The next day at school, Sakura saw Toru from far away and noticed he looked sad. Remi called out to Sakura and asked what she was looking at, so Sakura got overly defensive. Remi understood right away and told Sakura she was acting strange. Sakura quickly said that a beautiful girl like Remi could not understand, and then left, saying she wished she was like her. Sakura remembered that people always compared the two of them, saying Remi was pretty and Sakura was plain. But inside, she knew Remi had always been her best friend, so she ran back to Remi, apologized, and told her how she felt about Toro. Meanwhile, Izumi was walking with Kyoko and Toro was with Shui. Izumi felt awkward coming in front of Toru, but Toru hit him on the head and told him not to act weird. Later, Izumi was studying with Kyoko and told her to call him by his first name, but when Kyoko tried, he changed the subject. Now that Kyosuke was fully back home, Suda casually asked how many days he would stay. Yuriko also asked if it was really okay for him to leave his work project and come home. When Kyoko came home with Izumi, Kyosuke did not recognize him at first because he was wearing glasses. Then when Izumi took off his glasses and looked at him, Kyosuke recognized him. At dinner, Kyosuke told Izumi to stay the night, and in the end, Kyosuke was with Izumi and used that as an excuse to ask what he liked about Kyoko. Izumi said he liked that Kyoko did not judge people by their looks, and that answer was enough for Kyosuke. By the next morning, the house felt like a happy family, and they all left for school together like a real family. Some classmates saw Kyoko and Izumi together, and the news spread so fast that by the lunch bell, everyone knew. Toru and Yuki both felt bad that people were laughing at their friends and making comments. Yuki even cried for Izumi. At the same time, two boys teased Kyoko about her relationship, and Izumi heard them. He remembered his friends told him to ignore the noise, but Izumi knew Kyoko did not deserve that kind of disrespect. The next day, those boys kept teasing her again, until Izumi came to class with a completely new look. Without glasses, with clean and stylish hair. Even the girls started to notice him. This sudden attention shocked Kyoko because she did not like her boyfriend getting so much attention. At home, even Kyosuke did not recognize Izumi, and Kyoko had to remind him who he was. Later, Koichi called and said he was standing in front of Izumi's house with a gift, so Kyoko went there with Izumi. Koichi was dramatically surprised to see Izumi's change and started crying about his friend changing, then quickly moved on to the gift. Koichi did not like cheese, so Izumi purposely gave him something with cheese flavor, and Koichi got tricked. Then he saw Koho had eaten a candy with a very bad taste, so Izumi took the chance to get close and stole a kiss from Koho, taking her candy at the same time. When Koichi turned around, the kiss was already over, and Izumi walked away like nothing happened, leaving Koko nervous. The next day, Izumi noticed something strange, that a girl was seriously following him everywhere. When he finally talked to her, she directly asked when he would break up with Kyoko, which got everyone's attention, but Izumi told her he would never break up with Kyoko. Later, he told Kyoko about it, and when they were walking home, the same girl followed them and introduced herself as Honoka. When asked, she told Kyoko she did not like her dating a boy like Izumi because she liked Kyoko too. She hugged Koko and confessed her feelings, and then Izumi and Honoka both started pulling Koko to their side. Izumi saw this and immediately called Yuki so she could see it too. One day, Izumi was going home without Kayako and Honoka asked him. Izumi said Kayako had already gone home, so Honoka also started walking home but stayed behind Izumi. As they walked, things got strange because both of them had the same way. Then they entered the same apartment building, and it turned out Honoka was his next-door neighbor. Izumi was surprised by this and tried to leave quickly, but Honoka remembered she forgot her key. Izumi felt bad, so he let her sit in his house until her mom came back. They both sat in the living room. While eating cake, Honoka asked if he was always like this, letting strangers in. Izumi said even Kyoko rarely came to his house. Honoka made fun of him and called it a shallow relationship, so Izumi answered that he always went to Kyuko's house himself. Then, the talk became normal. Honoka asked about Izumi's family, and guessed maybe he had younger siblings because of how he acted with people, but Izumi said he was an only child. Honoka mentioned her brother a little, then quickly stopped and said she was just joking. At that moment, her mom came and Honoka left. Izumi noticed the change in her tone and said she could come eat cake whenever she wanted. Later, when Izumi's mom came home from work, she said Honoka really did have a brother who died about a year ago. The next time they met, Honoka and Izumi were seen fighting over Kyoko as usual. Then when Honoka left, 3 older boys came to her and talked about doing something bad. Honoka quietly came back to Izumi, and Izumi understood the situation in one look. Izumi stepped forward and without saying anything, gave the boys a hard look, and they got scared and left. In this way, a strange relationship started between Izumi and Honoka, where they often fought but also stayed together. When Kyuko came back, she saw Izumi and Honoka were still fighting about who could be a better lover for Kyuko. Later, Izumi watched a horror movie with Kyoko and her dad, where her daughter threw a chair at her dad. Kyosuke got so scared he went outside to smoke. At that moment, Kyoko told Izumi she had never made a move on him. Both got nervous, and Izumi thought he should take the next step, so he leaned in to kiss Kyuko. But Kyosuke suddenly came back and ruined their moment, and Kyuko got so angry she thought about doing the same thing as in the movie. A few days later, Hiyoko and the others went to a bookstore. Toru was still restless inside and just kept watching Kyoko and Izumi's romance. Yuki noticed this and casually took him with her. One day, while cleaning the classroom, Yuki told Toru to come with her to throw out the trash. Both of them liked the same movies, so she said they would go buy a new CD together and watch it later. Toru realized Yuki was giving him attention, but he did not notice Sakura. At the corner, they ran into Sakura and a drink from the trash bag spilled on her shirt. Yuki quickly cleaned the part on Sakura's legs, and Toru quickly apologized and ran back to the classroom to bring something for her. When the two girls were alone, Sakura asked Yuki if she and Toru were dating. Yuki laughed and said they were not. Toru came back and gave Sakura his jacket, and Sakura nervously but happily wore it because it was Toru's. Then she went to the student council room and met Kakeru. While talking, Sakura asked Kakeru why he liked Remi. Kakeru was surprised at first, but seeing Sakura's serious look, he answered seriously. He said he liked Remi because he thought he was weak, but Remi made him believe he was strong and brave enough to keep her safe, and she pushed him to go beyond his limits. In the end, he said Remi was the one who saved him. Sakura agreed because she knew Remi had always encouraged her too. Hearing this, Sakura understood and tried to become braver herself. A few days later, Sakura returned Toru's jacket and, before losing her courage, also gave him a bag of homemade cookies. Toru happily took them and said they were really good, especially the pink ones that were the same color as Sakura, and he liked them a lot, which made Sakura blush. Later, Yuki and Kyoko were looking at another magazine. Yuki found the one she wanted, but suddenly stopped when another girl reached for the same copy. Yuki let go of the copy without saying anything. Kyoko noticed and asked why, so Yuki just said the girl looked like she needed it more. Back at school, Kyoko brought up that Yuki was not hanging out with Toru as much these days. Yuki said Toru was busy with cookies. At that moment, Yuki's face changed for a second, then she smiled again. Then Kyoko understood that the more Yuki was sad, the more she smiled, because she never said what she wanted and kept everything inside. In the end, she felt bad. The cookies were really good, and she realized she was just jealous. Later, Yuki suddenly asked Izumi about bacon. Izumi admitted he was not an expert either, but said if she really wanted to learn, she just had to keep trying. A week passed, and Izumi and Kayoko were the first to taste Yuki's cupcakes, which were not too bad. Yuki said she did not want Toru to see them, but it was too late because Toru found out. He saw the bandages on Yuki's fingers, and even though the cupcakes were not perfect, he took a bite and said he would wait for the next batch. Everyone praised Yuki's effort and said the same. At school, the girls asked Kyoko what Izumi did not like, so she said he did not like horror movies, but he still watched them with her. The girl said maybe he only watched because Kyoko forced him. Then Yuki said something that stuck in Kyoko's mind, that if she kept acting like a weird girl who liked horror, Izumi might slowly pull away. After that, Kyoko tried to act sweet and scared during movie time, following other people's advice, but it backfired, and Izumi got even more scared. Izumi went to the bathroom to calm himself, and Kyoko went to her room, thinking maybe he had left her. Hearing Kyoko's footsteps, Izumi followed her. He found Kyoko bent over on the bed, and Kyoko thought she could not be a sweet and innocent girlfriend. Izumi assured her that he liked the real Kyoko, not some fake or made-up Kyoko. Kyoko also realized that she liked the real Izumi. Outside, it was raining hard, and both spent their time together behind the closed door of the room. Some nights later, Izumi suddenly started having nightmares from his past. In the dream, Izumi met his younger self, a boy who hated everything, had no friends, and was close to giving up on life. Izumi stood next to him and comforted him, saying to hold on a little longer because soon people would come into his life who cared about him. And he also said he liked helping others but felt anxious when alone. This same Kakeru, who was a bit strange but honest and serious, was liked by Remi. When they first met, Remi felt something different about him. The other boys were looking at Remi's face, but Kakeru just said Remi was okay, and at that moment, Remi noticed him. One day in class, Remi saw Kakeru reading and started talking to him. They talked about their favorite books, and Kakeru said his house had a whole room full of books. Remi said she wanted to see it one day, and he agreed. Then one day he invited her home and showed her the room. In the shelves, Remy saw an old book called A Day Before the World Ends. Their interest in stories brought them closer. When Remy gave him another book to read, Kakeru hesitated because he remembered one of his friends liked Remy. He told Remy this, but Remy did not care and asked if she could come to his house again. Then Remy visited for the second time, and in the same small library, Remy asked him what he would do if he was the last person on Earth. Kakeru, with his back to her, said he liked her, and then moved away. Remy was frozen and wondered if he was joking, but Kakeru was serious. Remy came closer and saw his face was red, and then Remy said she liked him too, and at that moment, they became a couple. At the same time, Kyoko was in her room putting new nail polish on Izumi's toes. Kyoko bent down, and Izumi suddenly put his foot lightly on her head, then quickly apologized. Kyoko was surprised, but did not mind. She thought that Izumi acted tough and loud with Hanoka and Koichi, but was gentle with her, so she could not understand which was Izumi's real nature. Izumi admitted he was not that tough, and asked if Kyoko wanted him to yell and hit her, but Kyoko said she liked it this way. Then they decided Izumi would try that style. The next morning, Izumi came to school and acted cold and stiff. The boys were shocked right away. Toru immediately understood this was all because of Kyoko. Kakeru also told Izumi to stop if he did not want to, but Izumi could not stop because it was for Kyoko. Then during science class, they were alone. Izumi tried again and acted like he was bothering Kyoko. Suddenly, some girls from another class came in and saw them in that state. Everyone ran away, and Kyoko just smiled. At the same time, Yuki got a proposal from a boy. Even after a few days, she could not decide what to do. She told the others she wanted to reject him, but did not know how. Izumi had the idea to make Toru look like Yuki's boyfriend, and he set it up with Toru. Toru agreed to the plan and held Yuki's hand, and Yuki wished it was not just acting. Then, as planned, they acted like a couple, but Yuki did all the talking. Then the boy came, Akane. Toru saw him and immediately understood he was very handsome, and he felt like he was nothing compared to him. But Akane saw Toru and quickly accepted that Toru was Yuki's boyfriend and respectfully backed off. He apologized and left. Kyoko came to Yuki and got mad, asking why she rejected such a handsome boy. Yuki explained that Akane seemed too high level for her and she liked simple boys, not the perfect type. Later, Yuki tried to get to know Akane, and Remy said Akane was in her class, and because of his weak eyesight, he sometimes seemed funny and clumsy. Yuki got an idea. After school, she followed Akane and directly asked if he had mistaken her for someone else because of his eyesight. Akane smiled and said no. He was sure he did not make a mistake, and he'd always been looking at her. At that moment, the others came, and everyone saw that Akane's eyesight was really bad because he kept getting names and faces wrong. Izumi's hair again. After that, the girls in class started paying more attention to Izumi, which made Kyoko jealous, and she took him home with her. On the way, Izumi met two boys from his old class, the same ones who used to bother him, and they started bothering him again. Even with Kyoko there, they did not stop. Kyoko could not take it and immediately threw Kung Pao chicken in their faces. Then she and Izumi went home smiling. At the same time, one of them, Tanihara, met Koichi and still had marks on his face. He said he hated Izumi, but Koichi knew Tanihara always brought up Izumi himself. Later, Izumi saw the redness on Koko's knuckles and gently thanked her, because for the first time, he felt someone would get angry for him too. The next day, because of her strange taste, Kyoko kept smiling and telling Izumi to act tough and slap her hard. At that moment, Koichi suddenly showed up and told Izumi to listen to his girlfriend. Koichi did not know what was going on and thought something strange was happening. Koichi also kept pushing Izumi to agree. Finally, Izumi gave in. He grabbed Kyoko's wrist tightly, called her an ugly dog, and dragged her away, and Koichi was shocked at what he saw. Then Kyoko went to the mini-market, and there she met Tanihara, the boy from before, and a third boy. The two boys who met Kyoko yesterday got scared right away. Kyoko just asked what they were doing, so they panicked, picked up a plastic bag, and said they were picking up trash like good kids. After Kyoko left, they saw Izumi and got even more scared when Izumi suddenly slapped Kyoko on the head. Now they were more afraid of Izumi than Kyoko. Meanwhile, Izumi was nervous inside because he had just hit his girlfriend on purpose, but when he saw Kyoko smiling, he hugged her. At home, Izumi took Kyosuke aside to talk, and Kyosuke happily agreed to help, even choosing the bathroom for the talk. Izumi left him and told Kyosuke about Kyoko's strange interest, that she liked it when Izumi acted tough. But even Kyosuke could not understand his daughter's taste. Then Keisuke simply explained that Kyoko just liked Izumi acting the opposite of his normal self, and Izumi understood this a bit. Then Kyoko came in and scolded them for taking so long, but Koyusuke scolded Koyuko back, saying she was putting too much pressure on Izumi, and both started arguing as usual. A few days later, Toru and Izumi were getting drinks when they met a classmate, Mizuuchi. Toru greeted him, but Mizuuchi passed by without saying anything. Izumi said maybe it was because of him, and he guessed Mizuuchi liked Kyoko. Both also said if a boy was not serious, he could not handle Kyoko's other side. Before going back to class, Izumi remembered he might have left his phone in the science room, so he ran back to check. There he met Mizuuchi. The mood was awkward, but Mizuuchi helped Izumi when he saw him searching around. He called Izumi's number, and the phone started ringing in Izumi's own back pocket. Mizuuchi got angry at Izumi's carelessness and thought to himself why Kyoko liked him, but he did not say anything more. Izumi noticed this and asked if he could ever slap Kyoko hard. Mizuuchi was surprised and said no, he could never hit Kyoko for any reason. Then Izumi smiled and said he was not good enough for Kyoko. Back in class, Kyoko asked if Izumi found his phone, so Izumi pretended to be angry and pushed her away. Mizuuchi tried to step in, but Izumi stopped him and let Kyoko be because Koyuko liked it. Mizuuchi said he had underestimated Izumi, and Izumi, with tears in his eyes, thanked him. One night, Tanihara had a nightmare that he was trapped in a room and Big Izumi was there, judging him harshly and saying he should be ashamed for what he did to get attention. Then he remembered the school rabbits and saw how much Izumi liked those rabbits. Tanihara woke up sweating. He asked Koichi for Izumi's number and called, but Izumi did not answer. Then he went to Izumi's cake shop and found him when Izumi was about to close the shop. Tanihara awkwardly said he came to buy cake, so Izumi calmly told him about another shop at the corner. Tanihara quickly said no, he would come back tomorrow for cheesecake. Izumi said he could get fruit tart too, and Tanihara agreed to buy both. Then he made two fingers like rabbit ears. Both understood the meaning. Before leaving, Tanihara asked why Izumi did not answer the call, so Izumi said his phone was broken and maybe he would get it fixed tomorrow. Tanihara understood that Izumi was not ignoring him, and he remembered that he himself used to ignore Izumi before. Then he remembered he had forgotten to feed the rabbits and they died, and he blamed Izumi for it. Now he could accept this, but he wondered if he could admit it in front of the real Izumi. At the same time, Izumi was helping Kyoko organize her bookshelf, and they found Kyoko's middle school yearbook. Kyoko asked if Izumi also had his yearbook, and Izumi gave a weak smile. He almost threw it away before, but after meeting Tanihara, he felt it was something to keep. Now he was excited for the high school yearbook, because this time he had friends and memories he really wanted to save. A few days later, Izumi and Kyoko met Tanihara, and the mood got a bit awkward, because both got shy when they bumped into each other. Kyoko quickly told Tanihara in a strong voice that Izumi was hers because she was afraid Izumi might go to another boy. Tanihara quickly denied it and said he was not Koichi. Kyoko immediately remembered how close Koichi and Izumi were. Izumi nervously tried to explain, but at that moment Koichi himself showed up and stood right behind them and greeted them innocently. Kyoko asked Koichi if he was still close to Chika. Koichi said Chika was busy studying for finals, so now he was spending more time with Izumi. Hearing this, Kyoko got suspicious and did not like it at all. Tanihara, who was still scared of Kyoko, quickly dragged Koichi away and the couple was left behind. Kyoko clearly said Izumi had to be careful with boys, and if he ever cheated on her, he should promise it would be with a girl, not a boy. Izumi still agreed. On the other side, Yuki's sister was surprised that she rejected such a handsome boy. Yuki pushed her sister aside and Akane said goodbye and left because he did not want Toru to misunderstand. Yuki kept going with the lie, but she felt bad because she knew Toru would never get jealous for her. Even at school, when Sakura asked if they were dating, Yuki lied and said she was with Toru. Later, Yuki told Remi about this. She wanted to clear things up in front of Sakura, but she was not ready for it herself. Remi said she would not tell Sakura anything because it was not her job, it was Yuki's job. After Remi left, Yuki was alone. Yuki knew Toru did not like her the same way she liked Toru, and after rejecting Akane, she should have ended this lie. But instead, she said she wanted to keep pretending, hoping this lie would somehow become true. Yuki did not go to school for almost a week and did not tell anyone, not Toru, not Kyuko. Toru was worried at first, but then forced a laugh and thought maybe she would come tomorrow. On the other side, Yuki's sister was very angry because Yuki was skipping school for no reason. She said there could be only one reason, that Yuki wanted something. Because she remembered Yuki was always like this since childhood. She never said what she wanted, but when she did not get it, she cried. Her sister told her to decide to go after what she wanted or she would regret it. Yuki thought about her sister's words, turned her phone back on, and saw a lot of messages. Most of the messages were from Kyoko, but when she saw Toru's message, her hand stopped. The message said Sakura had told Toru about her feelings. The next week, Yuki came back to school. The girls in class were relieved to see her, but Yuki acted like nothing happened. Later, Toru took her aside and took her to the rooftop. Yuki thought now their fake relationship would end, and now Toru would be with Sakura. Yuki was surprised when Toru said Sakura had told her feelings, but did not ask for an answer, because she still thought Toru was with Yuki. Yuki asked why Toru did not tell Sakura the truth, so Toru said he was keeping his promise and would keep their fake relationship going. He also admitted he could not be with Sakura, because Sakura was too good for him and she deserved someone better. Yuki stopped after hearing this and felt bad for Sakura. Yuki tried to explain to him that some things seemed good at first, but later change, and you have to move on. But Toru said things only change when you want them to, and they will not change just because someone else wants them to. Yuki gave a small laugh and understood Toru was trying to take care of her. Toru was happy. She smiled, then gently took her fingers and led her back inside the building. Meanwhile, Kakeru asked Remi why Sakura was so happy these days. Remi smiled and said the reason was the opposite. Kakeru was still trying to understand this when Sakura came into the student council room. From the outside, she looked fine, but when she saw Toru smiling with Yuki through the window, she froze. Kakeru saw this and asked what happened. Sakura started to leave, so Kakeru followed and asked again. Sakura finally said she was stuck and she was losing before even starting. Kakeru, as a friend, got angry and said whoever that boy was, he was stupid for not choosing a girl like Sakura. A few days later, the group sat together again. One afternoon, Kyoko noticed that only she and Yuki had siblings, not the others, so Toru said Shuei won too. Everyone was surprised because Shuei never talked about it. Toru said he knew because one day he went to Shuo's house and met his little sister there, and even though their faces were similar, their personalities were completely different. At that moment, Shu came in holding a burger coupon, so the girls scolded him that he did not act like a big brother. Later, during another meeting in the student council room, Kyoko asked why Akane still talked so formally, even though everyone was now friends. Akane, with a little hesitation, said he was not used to talking in a normal way. Kyoko mentioned Yuki and said Akane was informal with her. She reminded him that Remi had forced Akane to stop talking formally with her, but with Yuki, Akane had stopped on his own. Shu interrupted and announced he would be the first to call Akane by his first name. Shu's confidence made Kyoko feel a little bad. Akane admitted he really wanted to change. Then Kakeru, who was the real boss of the room, came in. Seeing this mixed group inside, he was surprised, so Izumi and Toru immediately pulled him in and gave the example that everyone here was new to Kakeru too. But still, everyone became friends by themselves. This time Shu stayed quiet because no one could be as stubborn as those two. Kyoko was not listening to the talk, so she left the boys and went away. Akane laughed a little at the noise and decided as a start he would be the first to call Toru by his first name. At that moment, Izumi asked in a jealous way if Toru would also call Akane by his first name. Toru said maybe he would. Then Izumi quietly said he would put Akane on his blacklist. Kakeru shivered when he heard this, but Izumi laughed it off. Then Akane, understanding the situation, calmly said he would not take anything from Izumi. Hearing this, Izumi immediately got nervous and ran out of the room, just like Kyoko ran away when she got nervous. The others got confused, but Akane understood everything. A few days later, Akane and Izumi argued about who was taller, and they tried to get Sakura to decide, but Sakura scolded them for fighting over something so useless. At another time, Izumi introduced Honoka to everyone at school. Honoka was still scared of boys, but she was okay with Kakeru and Toru. Toru was proud that for Honoka, he was above Kakeru. Then Toru and Kakeru even competed for Honoka's attention by giving her sweets. But as soon as Shu appeared, Honoka got nervous and said he was too annoying, which hurt Shu's pride. Then because of too much shouting, Shu's throat got sore. Kyoko and Yuki immediately scolded him that if he was really sick, he should go home. Shu was not used to staying quiet, but because his throat hurt, he had to stay silent. While walking in the hall, Shu saw Honoka carrying a heavy box. Since they had the same way, Shui quietly helped her carry the box. Honoka felt bad and thought Shu was angry because of what happened yesterday, but the next day, she saw Shu talking again and just watched him from far away. Sakura brought up the topic, and Honoka told her she wanted to apologize to Shuei, but as soon as Shuei suddenly came and started talking, Honoka got nervous, ran away, and called him annoying again. At home, Shu's little sister Motoko was upset because her teacher told her she was not good enough for the school she wanted to apply to and even laughed at her. When Shu saw Motoko looking sad on the sofa, he sat next to her and quietly read the newspaper. Motoko said she did not want to eat, so Shu asked why. Then Motoko told him about the teacher, that the laugh was not at the school, it was at her grades. Shua's mood changed, and he got angry. He said Motoko worked very hard, and no one had the right to laugh at her, and he also said he wanted to call that teacher to their house. Motoko said that even with all her effort, her grades kept dropping, and the teacher said it was impossible for her to go to that school. Then Shu calmed himself, put his hand on her head, and tried to make her feel better, and also said that school was not so special, and she could look at his school as an option too. At school, Shu asked Kyoko to help Motoko with her studies. Kyoko understood and agreed, and let Motoko study in her room. When Motoko came, she thought Izumi was Kyoko's sibling. Kyoko did not start studying right away because she knew Motoko was still anxious, so she talked to her first and made her feel comfortable. Slowly, Motoko opened up and said her phone only had Shua's number, and if she came home late, Shua would get angry. Kyoko laughed and said the siblings were really close. Meanwhile, Shua took Toru to a shrine to buy an expensive lucky charm. Toru understood it was for Motoko and was a bit unsure if she would accept it or not, but he encouraged Shua. Both also knew the siblings cared about each other. Later, when Christmas came close, Suda asked Izumi to join them for Christmas dinner. Izumi did not promise because he had to work at his shop during the busy holiday season. Suda and Keisuke both tried to convince him to come anyway. This made Kyoko keep thinking about who Izumi was really more connected to. At the same time, Toru was in his own confusion. He took Shu and Kikaru out for food and talked about it. He first explained that he used to like Kyoko, then told the Sakura situation, and finally mentioned Yuki, saying they were so close that it was hard to call them just friends, but they were not partners either. Shu and Kikaru did not say much about the first two topics, but when it came to Yuki, both had nothing to say. Shu and Kikaru really thought Toru and Yuki were already a couple, so Shu directly asked if Toru liked Yuki. Toru clearly admitted he liked Yuki, but also said it felt strange to say it out loud. Kakeru told him it was not about what people thought, it was about what he felt and if he was happy with whatever he had with Yuki. During a school break, Yuki came to Toru and asked if she could come to his house and play the video game from the other day. Toru hesitated for a moment, then agreed because whatever was on his mind had to happen someday. That day, Yuki went to Toru's house. She was surprised to see the house was big, but she felt Toru was acting strange and quietly taking her inside, like he was hiding her from someone. Yuki thought maybe he did not want his parents to meet her. When they reached his room, Toru locked the door. Then Kayo Yashiro, who was the housekeeper, appeared in front of them. Toru did not want Yuki to meet her because Yashiro always asked too many questions. She talked nicely to Yuki, but told Toru strictly not to do anything stupid or she would tell his mom. Toru carelessly said he could not do anything anyway because of her. Yuki got confused by this. Toru saw her confusion, gently put his hand on her head, and told her to just play the game. Then Toru thought this was enough for now. On the last day of school, everyone was in the student council room again. When Kakeru came in, Remy was already there and said she wanted to spend Christmas at his house. Kakeru got nervous and quickly said no. Everyone got mad, and Toru even told Izumi to hit him. Kakeru explained that the problem was not that he did not want to go, the problem was Remy's house had a lot of bugs, and Kakeru was scared of bugs. At home, everyone gathered in the living room. Yuriko talked about Kyoko's grades, then mentioned graduation. Kyoko went quiet and remembered that school was almost over, and the future did not look clear. Then Christmas Eve came, and everyone was spending their holidays. At the same time, Akane met Yuki's sister. She mentioned his glasses, so Akane said he recently got contact lenses. Then he immediately offered her a pair as a Christmas gift, and their talk continued. On the other side, Toru and Yuki went on a small date. Shu spent his day with Motoko, and they focused on studying. Sakura was still pushing Kakeru to go to Remy's house. At Kyoko's house, Kyosuke kept asking if Izumi would come, even though he knew Izumi had to help at the shop. Still, Izumi came. Kyosuke and Suda were the happiest and kept him for a long time, even though he should have left earlier. Kyoko took the chance to walk Izumi out so she could talk to him alone. She walked with him quietly, then brought up graduation and said she wanted to stay with him even after school ended. Izumi looked at her seriously and without hesitation, talked about marrying Kyoko Hori. Then as Izumi was about to leave, Kyoko said she would make him happy. Both promised each other they would stay together. At that moment, Izumi got a call from the shop and left. On New Year, both went to the shrine and spent time together. Kyoko said it felt strange that the last person of the year and the first person of the next year was Izumi. Izumi said he wanted it to be like that every year. On the way back, Kyoko asked if they would always stay together, and Izumi held her hand and promised they would. The last day of school came. Everyone had emptied their lockers, but Yuki's locker was still full, and Toru's too. Kyoko had nothing, so Yuki and Toru gave her some of their stuff to hold. Then they remembered Shu also had a lot of things left with them, so they gave those back too, and in the end, everyone had something in their hands. In the student council room, Sakura was cleaning when Remy found an old zoo trip pamphlet and wanted to go. At that moment, Kakeru came in with Akane. They talked about the holidays, and Remy suggested going on a trip together. Before the boys could answer, Sakura stepped in and tried to stop Remy from going too far. Then Akane started talking about cars and road trips and said he wanted to get his license soon. Hearing this, Remy went quiet and tried to leave the conversation. Sakura understood right away, stopped her, pinched her cheek, and asked why she was pulling away. Then Remy explained she did not like the idea of everyone getting licenses, because she felt then everyone could go far away and never come back. Sakura comforted Remy and said that just because things change did not mean everything ends, and even after graduation, they would all stay together. Akane also promised that when he got his license, he would take everyone on a trip together. Meanwhile, Kyoko and Izumi were alone at home. Kyoko was sleeping with her head in Izumi's lap. Izumi got lost in thought and wondered what would have happened if he had not helped Suda that day. He thought maybe Yuki and Toru would have gotten close, or Toru would have just stayed with Shoei. Maybe he would have connected with Kakeru or not. Maybe Kakeru would have met Remy or not, and maybe Sakura would have developed feelings for Toru or not. Then he also thought about himself, if he would have stayed quiet like before and never talked to Kyoko. Then he reminded himself these were just thoughts, because in reality, his life had changed and now he was happy. At that moment, Kyoko woke up and saw Izumi thinking. Izumi told her he was thinking about the moments in his life that brought him here, and also what would have happened if even one moment was missing. Kyoko got up and moved closer to him and said what had to happen already happened, and even if one step was missing somewhere, in the end, things would still have come together. Then graduation day came. When Kakeru stepped forward for his speech, Izumi sneezed loudly and the whole serious mood broke. After the ceremony, Izumi stood on the rooftop and remembered his old style that he used to hide behind, but this time he did not run away. He accepted it and made peace with his past. Downstairs near the class, Kyoko was handling Honoka, who was not ready to accept the idea of leaving until Kyoko promised she would let her visit. In the hallway, Toru finally cleared everything with Sakura, and there was no anger left. At the same time, Akane met Yuki and shared a holiday idea, and Yuki immediately agreed because she felt it would keep everyone together.